Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and welcome to Mr. Pearson Talks Books. Today was my last day of school. I'm filming this on a Friday evening. I'm enjoying the nice weather here behind me, and I thought that since it was the last day of school, and I don't really have any school-related responsibilities, that I would do a little bit of a reading challenge and see how many books I can finish or read over the weekend. And like I said, it's Friday evening. We're going to do this all the way through Sunday. Don't really have anything planned, although on Saturday we are going to an amusement park. We're going to take the kids up to Hershey Park for the day. And so that might throw a little crimp in this. But the goal is to see how many books I can read or finish between now and Sunday evening when I go to bed before I have to get up for work on Monday. So I have two books. If you saw my what I'm reading Wednesday, I have two books that I am in the middle of that I'm going to use as a part of this challenge. The first one being Styx and Stones by Gary Schmidt and Ron. Still can't pronounce his last name. We'll call him Ron K. How about that? But this is a story of Simon who escapes from the underworld and Hades, goes to St. Paul, Minnesota, where he makes a lot of friends. I am just a few chapters away from the end, so I guarantee I will finish this one. And then the other book that I am hoping to finish this weekend is Whalefall by Daniel Kraus. And this is the story of, let me make sure I got his name again, Jay, who is looking for his father's remains in the Pacific Ocean. His father went diving, never came back, and as a means of getting closure for their rather volatile relationship, Jay decides he's going to go diving and see if he can find his father's remains. And while he's out there, as you can see here on the cover, he encounters some undersea creatures, and things go horribly, horribly wrong. Very much a Jonah and the whale type story. This one I am currently on page 185 out of 320-ish pages. So about 140 pages. If I really push it, I can get that done. And then, like I said, we're going to the amusement park. We're going to Hershey Park tomorrow. So I don't want to be carrying a book around with me, but I am one of those nerdy guys that takes a Kindle everywhere I go. So I have two books on my Kindle. The first one being Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva, I think I said that right, Jeneva Rose. And this is a story of some siblings who come back to their house, and they're going through some of their parents' possessions, and they come across a videotape which seems to show their parents involved in some very bad behavior. And so they have to figure out what they're going to do. I've seen it recommended a lot on some of the videos I've been watching lately, and I thought it would be fun to give it a try. If I don't like that one, I also have the new Michael Connelly book called Ironwood, which is part of the Catalina Island series. I don't know a whole lot about it, but Michael Connelly is one of those authors that if he writes a book, I'm going to read it. Doesn't matter what it's about. But I do know that Detective Sergeant Stillwell, who's the main character in this series, he is investigating something, and it leads him to Renee Ballard, who is another one of Michael Connelly's creations, one of his characters, who I absolutely love her stories. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those two interact together. So I may be reading Home is Where the Bodies Are, or I may be reading Ironwood by Michael Connelly. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in as I go along, and even how much time I have to read while we're at the amusement park. So it is Friday evening. I'm going to sit down and try to finish one of these books, and I will check in with you a little bit later. So, hey everyone, I am back with a quick update on how my weekend reading is going. Last night I finished Styx and Stones by Gary Schmidt, and it was okay. It was okay. I'll probably make a more in-depth video about my thoughts on it, but it was okay. And then today, being Saturday, I got up early, went out for a walk. I tried to walk somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes as often as I can, and I take my Kindle with me. And I said in the first part of this video that I was trying to read either Ironwood by Michael Connelly or Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. Well, it turns out I'm actually reading both. And so I read a couple of chapters of Ironwood while I was out for my walk. And then my family, we went to Hershey Park for the day. And while I was waiting in line or waiting while my wife and daughter rode video games or rode video games, rode the rides, I was reading. And so I was able to actually read almost 100 pages of both Home is Where the Bodies Are, and Ironwood. So Home is Where the Bodies Are. It is the story of two sisters and a brother, Beth, Nicole, and Michael, I believe their names are. And after their mother passes away, they're cleaning out her house and going through her things, and they come across an old videotape, an old home video, and they watched it so they could see what they were like in the year 1999, June 15th, 1999 specifically. Well, as they're watching the video, they discover that their father and their mother were involved in a pretty heinous incident involving a neighbor girl who has since gone missing. Dad's covered in blood, and then that's where the video stops. And so now they have to figure out what are they going to do with this information, particularly when the missing girl's brother shows up at the house because he had heard that their mother had passed away. And that's as far as I am in the book. I'll try not to, when I update tomorrow, try not to give any spoilers. Ironwood it's a detective story. It begins with Detective Sergeant Stillwell. They call him Still. He and a couple of his deputies are involved in an incident, and two of the deputies end up getting shot. One of them doesn't survive. And because of that, Still is placed on desk duty and told he's got to clean out the lost and found room at the police station. And while he's doing that, he comes across a backpack and starts running down some of the information in it. And it's tied to a missing persons case, which then brings in Renee Ballard, who is another character in the Michael Connelly world. You have to forgive me for the lighting. As you can see here, I'm on my back porch. We literally just got home from Hershey Park not too long ago, and I wanted to film this, but it's such a nice night, I thought I would film it outside. So if the lighting isn't great, my apologies. It's just so beautiful out here. I wanted to keep at it. So tomorrow is Sunday. I'm going to read some more. I do need to get back to Whalefall, but these books were just so interesting and so much fun that I thought I would pick them up and go with them. I am going to try to dive into Whalefall, and I do need to work on some Charles Dickens as well. So lots of books to read. We'll see what I'm able to accomplish before I go back to work on Monday. I'll keep you posted, and we'll see you in an update soon. Can I just say how great it was to have a Sunday where I didn't have to prepare for the next day? Usually on Sunday afternoons, I'm doing lesson plans or sending parent emails or doing something school related. And with this being the first weekend that school is out for the summer, I didn't have to do any of those things. So I took the opportunity to do some reading. And this is the third day of my weekend reading vlog. think I may have shared with you, I finished Styx and Stones by Gary Schmidt. Finished that Friday night. On Saturday, did a lot of reading. And then today, I was able to finish the book Whalefall by Daniel Kraus, as well as do a lot of reading in both Ironwood by Michael Connelly and Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva, I keep pronouncing her name wrong, Jeneva Rose. And so Whalefall, if you're not familiar with it, is the story of a guy named Jay who had a very volatile relationship with his father. And after his father dies, he decides to go diving to see if he can come across or see if he can locate his father's remains so he can bring him home and they can have a proper burial for it. And while he's out there looking and swimming and diving, a tragedy happens. He gets tangled up with a squid who is then in turn eaten by a sperm whale. And so Jay finds himself inside of one of the many bellies of the whale. And the story progresses from there. And I got to tell you, I was led to believe, that's what I'm trying to say. I was led to believe that this was going to be a story like The Martian by Andy Weir, where the guy was trapped on Mars and he has to find a way to get home, get off of Mars. This was more of, had a lot to do with Jay coming to grips with the relationship that he had with his dad. And I got to tell you, for a story about a guy trapped inside of a whale, it was extremely emotional. I apologize for the light. I'm sitting on my back porch because it is so beautiful here. And the light is probably not cooperating, so forgive me for that. But yeah, it was a surprisingly emotional and exciting story. I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I finished it. The other two books, Ironwood and Home is Where the Bodies Are, continuing to make my way through those. I was hoping to finish at least one other book this weekend, but I think that given our trip to Disney World, or I'm sorry, we're going to Disney World soon. Given our trip to Hershey Park and church Sunday morning, trying to get through 3 books in one weekend might have been a little bit of a bridge too far, as it were. But I am over halfway through in both Ironwood and in Home is Where the Bodies Are. Both of them are very enjoyable books, although I will say that Home is Where the Bodies Are, it's taken a little bit of a different turn than I expected. I expected this to be the story of parents who are monsters, and in a sense they are, but not the way that I expected. And I think I'm at a part where another twist is about to come. I'm not going to say too much about that. But overall, I think I ended up reading close to 300 or 400 pages this weekend. That's my reading vlog for this weekend. Let me know what you think. If you've read any of these books, if you've read Styx and Stones by Gary Schmidt, or if you've read Whalefall by Daniel Kraus, or any of the or either of the other two. I am having the worst time talking this evening. Ironwood by Michael Connelly, or The Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. That one seems to be really popular. Let me know what your thoughts on those books are, and let me know what you think of my vlog here. You'll have to forgive me. I am still trying to figure out how to do this type of video. I'm not great when it comes to B-roll. I'm still trying to figure out how to film those shots and that type of thing. Anyway, so there you go. That's my reading for this weekend. Let me know what your thoughts on the books. Let me know what you think of this type of video. And as always, my name is Jonathan. This is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. We'll see you next time.